Good evening. It's 7 p.m. This regular meeting is called to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mayor McFadden.
Present.
Deputy Mayor Shaw. Trustee Brooke. Here. Trustee Casker.
Here.
Trustee Shara.
Here.
All right. So first, I will wish everyone a Merry Christmas and holiday season and a very Happy New Year. I also wanted to shout out something regarding the holiday lights. Special thanks go out to Justin DiCristofaro of Hogland for arranging their assistance with a cherry picker on the house. John Ledwith for coordinating the effort between Hogland and the village, and Jeff Voss and the members of the DPW team. I want to thank you very much. You did a fantastic job, everybody. I think it really brings a nice touch. You're welcome. So let's move on to reports number 5. Jeff?
I think we had just started paving, so that's now been completed. We did the island at the front gate with the bollards.
Perfect.
Like you mentioned, put the decorations up, and today the guys were working on installing the conduit from the bollard to the booth. They have a little bit more to do in the morning. That'll be done. We've been starting to pick up leaves up in the Tower Hill area. We repaired a few water leaks in the past couple of weeks, one on East Lake Stable Road, one on Nursery Road downtown. Had the lines painted on the roads.
Are you done with that?
That's done, yeah.
So the reason Turtle Point Road is not have any lines, it's too narrow.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's about it.
Okay. Stick around, because when John gives his report, we're going to talk briefly about replacing the valve in the town.
Yep.
I don't, you may have already gone over it with him.
Yep.
But again, thank you very much. Are you guys working on any more mailbox?
Not right now. We're working on picking up leaves.
Right. I know you did build at least 2 bike racks.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And I have 2 more mailbox stands just about ready to go. So
Good.
As soon as we
Good.
get it in, we'll get it.
Perfect. Okay. John, building department and construction, please.
Yes, we had one certificate of occupancy request at 55 Clubhouse Road. No stop work orders were issued during the month of, well, since the last meeting, the end of November through December. We have 2 violations that are currently before the courts. The active projects, Rifkin, new construction on Westlake Road, Malik up on Camp Comfort Road, and Pays on Tower Hill Road are all proceeding pretty good. The weather's been fairly good and has allowed them to move ahead with their projects. Orange and Rockland, I believe, is pretty much finished for the year as far as the electrical system upgrades. They'll be continuing with the next phase sometime in the spring of 2022.
I'd like to make an announcement out as soon as possible about what that phase is going to be, maybe sometime during the winter.
Absolutely.
I'm not really sure which it is, whether it's the east, west, north, or, you know.
I know it's from Tower Hill Road going south,
Mhm.
and I don't know exactly where it ends. I know they did a lot of East Lake Road towards the end of East Lake already. I'm sorry, yeah, East Lake Road, so we'll find out.
Well, the electric, the next phase,
Yeah,
I believe it's going to be going up Tower Hill
Tower
in
Hill.
that area.
So as you know, related to leaves, we have in local law that certain Saturdays, the landscapers can come in and work limited hours to collect the leaves. I also gave them 2 additional Saturdays, starting at 9 and stopping at 3, and they're done. So, you know, this is probably a good time for you to, whatever's left is up to us, right?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Terrific. Well, thanks.
regarding other projects, we had the transfer switch changed here at the village office, so the generator and the transfer switch are up and running. We auctioned off that snow blower over a month ago. That snow blower was picked up on November 19th. Money in the bank. We have a couple active applications before the board. The Nicholson project for a pool and pool house. They're going before the BZA in the beginning of January,
Mhm.
and then we'll most likely proceed to the BAR end of January, beginning of February. And Wilkinson on Pine Hill Road regarding some entranceway canopies and post lights. We're just waiting for some updated technical information from him.
Mhm.
Water treatment plant, the internet has been connected, it's up and running. There was a little bit of an effort to get internet there. It took 3 visits from Optimum, but it's up and running as of
15 years overdue.
possibly, up and running as of last week.
Mhm.
And I also reported, we got 3 estimates to replace the oil tank here at the village office.
Mhm.
I don't know if that's included in the consent agenda.
It is.
I believe, so we can look at it there. And that is all I have.
Okay, did you want to go over the bids you got in for replacing the valve, please? And then we'll vote on it later in the agenda.
Yes, there is a pressure relief valve in the town of Tuxedo, and apparently it's inoperable. We did receive an estimate to have it, I guess, repaired or serviced. And the estimate was approximately $2,962.54. I noticed on the bill, a lot of that was mileage and labor for the technical people to come here and install this, the repair kit. So I asked them what it would cost just for a whole new valve, everything that we need.
Mhm.
And the estimate is only $500 more. The valve was installed in 1999. It should be serviced every 10 years. And my recommendation to the board is that we forego them installing the valve. They will give us the whole unit complete. We will tell them what pressure to set it at. And from what they tell me, it's pretty much a drop-in installation, typical to a water meter. But it's a 4-inch valve. It's a little bigger, obviously.
And our engineer, as well as DPW, has advised us to do it because we might be able to save some water main blows.
You know, despite the issues that we sometimes have with the water distribution system, it works, and we just have to maintain it.
Mhm.
And the reason for the pressure reducing the other pressure relief valve is to relieve some pressure off the system when it's not in use.
Right.
And we think that may have a little bit to do with some of the water main breaks that we do get.
Mhm.
That this will cap the pressure in the system or relieve the pressure in the system. And hopefully it'll be more reliable and have less breaks.
Mhm. So for those here in the room and following at home, those documents that he referred to, those quotes are listed at the bottom of the other documents for the meeting with it says last minute posting, regular agenda, that kind of thing. So they're at the bottom. Okay.
My recommendation is we authorize $3,498 for the purchase of a 4-inch relief valve.
Mhm.
There is an approximate delivery date of 3 to 4 weeks.
Mhm.
And Jeff has also offered to take some pressure readings at intermittent times in the town to see exactly what the static pressure is in the town.
Mhm.
And we can advise the company where we should set that.
Terrific.
So it allows everybody to get adequate water, but if it's over the limit, at least it blows off the pressure instead of blowing out light.
Right.
That's the.
Okay. Did you mention stop work orders or court appearances?
We have 2 of them underway. No stop work orders were issued during the month of November.
Okay. All set?
Yes, sir.
Chief, would you like to do the police report?
Can we, before we do the police report, there's someone waiting to get in the waiting room?
Thank you.
Mhm.
Go ahead, Chief. John can do that while you're reporting.
So we had 253 blotters documented. 3 case reports, which a case report is anything that's criminal. 1 included a burglary to one of the houses up here that happened within the last 18 months. The residents haven't been here in 18 months. And when they returned home, there was a lot of items that were stolen from the house. So we're
$100,000 worth.
currently under investigation, but with the time lapse of 18 months, it's very difficult.
Mhm.
0 motor vehicle accidents. We issued 1 traffic summons and 7 warnings. There's 11 fire calls, which includes automatic alarms. 2 burglary alarms, 4 medical calls, We assisted the town of Tuxedo Police 2 times.
Mm-hmm.
We patrolled 2,510 miles, and the approximate vehicle average daily is 707 that came through.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want me to go to the next one?
Well, I guess a couple questions.
Yeah.
When we're doing these false alarms, both through the fire department and the police for burglary,
We are billing.
we are billing.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. Thank you. And yeah, would you like to move on to the road traffic change report?
Sure. So there's a proposal that's going on, it's actually in the town of Tuxedo, right outside the gates on Route 17. The railroad company, they're going to be redesigning East Village Road at the railroad crossing. There's going to be a traffic light installed right in front of East Village Road on Route 17. The blinking signal that's there now, when you exit onto 17, is going to be removed. So going out of Tuxedo Park, if you're going to make a right on 17, you're still going to use that right lane, but that's only going to be a one-way. There's not going to be any left turn coming from 17. You're going to have to go up to the traffic light and then turn into Tuxedo Park that way. Same thing coming south on Route 17, you'll be able to make a right into Tuxedo Park, but exiting Tuxedo Park, you're going to have to go through the traffic light.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I guess it's, from as far as I understand, it's in the proposed stage.
Mm-hmm.
And being that it's in the town, I don't think we really have much of a say in it, except for maybe, if people wanted to lobby against it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's gonna be safer for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Has there ever been an accident there?
I don't know, that's in the town. I mean, we've observed a couple from the booth and called them in. But it's not, I don't think they're doing it because of accidents. I think it has to do with the railroad crossing. They're redesigning the entire railroad crossing, and with that is a traffic lane, a traffic light. They're gonna widen the road, and there's gonna be a right turn only lane to going north on 17 into East Village. And they're gonna take away some of the grade onto East Village where the tracks are.
As
You can say something?
Just as I put my town councilman hat on for a second. After the meeting, let's talk a little bit, because I want to find out where you learned about this, because I don't think we've heard about it.
Okay,
But it's the railroad and that's the state highway, so the town actually has got almost no say in it, about as much say as the village does.
Just, do you mind just stating your name, Jay?
Oh, sorry, Jay Reichcott.
Thank you.
I understand the reason for the changes started approximately 5 years ago when there was some fatalities, I believe in Westchester County, where a lady and some children got stuck in between lights on a set of railroad tracks. So the reason for the changes are to make sure people don't get stuck in between lights or in between an intersection and a light on the tracks.
Mm-hmm.
So it really has nothing to do with the village. It has to do with getting into the East Village
Mm-hmm.
and making sure nobody gets stuck there.
Where did we first learn about this? Because this only happened recently. I asked you to research it.
I learned
You
about
gave
it.
the research to him.
I learned about it through the town highway superintendent.
Okay,
Mm.
he's been out sick, so that's probably why I haven't.
Mhm.
Well, no, this was 3 months ago.
All right, then don't like me.
But you're basically saying we could potentially fight it. It would probably be an uphill battle, but you don't think it's a bad thing.
I really don't. I think it's only gonna be safer. But exiting Tuxedo Park, especially if you're going out and you're making a left on the Route 17 to go north,
Mhm.
that's a little dangerous.
Mhm.
You gotta really gun it. And that's gonna alleviate.
Mhm.
things like that.
All right. So I'll ask the trustees. I mean, do you feel that the plans are printed, have been uploaded for anyone that's following? Do you want to raise some cane or accept it, or any thoughts?
I personally don't believe in fixing stuff that ain't broke. So I don't see the purpose of yet another stoplight
Yeah.
on Route 17. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
How about you, Tinka?
I think the traffic's going to be terrible between, the light at the post office, and if that one goes, I mean, you'd have to figure out a way to time it. So, because there are a lot of cars that go through there, and those lights would be very close together.
Josh?
Candidly, don't feel like I have enough information to really have an opinion. Based on what the chief is saying, it sounds like it might improve safety, which would obviously be a good thing. But to Tinka's point, there could be some negative repercussions.
All right, well, I think we can continue our dialogue with the people that gave us the information and ask some of those questions. What do you think, John?
Absolutely.
Okay, then we'll bring it up next meeting.
I think, if I may, ask the state DOT what their rationale is. I'm sure they actually probably have a very thorough explanation of everything, a little
There's-
bit more
yeah,
than
it's
what they
in the
provided.
document. They gave a whole,
Okay.
I posted them last week.
I read it. I thought that, there might be more details, but
That's what they gave us so far. There's some details.
because we've had more details from the county on proposals in the town on watchtower traffic things.
I wonder if Orange County knows about this.
Well, it would be a state road, so the state should be.
All right.
They might have asked the county for an
As I
opinion. I don't know.
Yeah.
As
I
I
don't know.
understand that the changes that they're proposing here, they've already done or in process of doing the remainder of the crossings going south into Rockland County. So I'm sure there was an extensive, analysis
right.
done.
Okay. And Chief, did you want to mention anything about the
Yeah.
communications?
I do. I have a couple more things. So, internet issues. We're to the point where about 2 to 3 times a week, we're losing connectivity at the booth with the South Gate. South Gate goes down when that happens. Now, we have internet in the booth. We can go on the internet, but the connectivity between the booth and the South Gate goes out. We have no cameras and no control. So we have to bring another officer in and station them at the South Gate until it's fixed. I really think we need to explore getting either a secondary internet system, a backup, or, I think Optimum has the monopoly, but I think maybe fiber optic might be available, or, we can explore something else, but unfortunately, everything is run off the internet. And so when it goes down, our phones are internet based. So when that goes down, we don't even have phones.
I
We
think
do have
that
an analog phone.
we've had a difficult time getting our IT company to come down and give a look at those old wires and maybe upgrade the router and this and that. So I think that we should contact them again, and if they can't make it, maybe we have to bring somebody else in for that aspect of that, but we could discuss that.
Is Optimum our old internet company?
Optimum is the only company that is available in town, except that the communications committee has done a good job identifying another vendor, Crown Castle, and they have wires around the park, and we're starting to get prices in for them to bring in lines from Long Meadow Road that go down to the school and then go down to the club, and that goes to the Newburgh Pop. Then there's another way to come in through the police station off 17, and then come around up through the sewer department and then to the club. So there's a redundancy because that goes to the Suffern Pop. So we're working on it, and it all falls into place this evening, because we're also going to be listening to an independent consultant that we might hire, who's going to give a short presentation this evening. Okay, so the special engineers report include an update of current and future projects, as well as a publication of the conceptual diagrams that they presented to the board for relocating the DPW and the village office. It's all online. Would you like to give the legal report?
So I'll let the litigation report speak for itself. I know the firm prepared that.
Okay,
Do you want me to address the recent executive order?
not yet. We'll do that later on in the agenda. Okay, court report written, submitted, water report written, submitted, treasury written, submitted. Are there any liaison reports, Tinka,
Nope.
Josh,
Not for me.
Paul?
Nope.
Chris? Chris?
Yeah, just real quick on fire department. So last week I attended the fire commissioners meeting and talked about fire hydrants. We have a list of flow measurements, both pressure and gallons per minute from 2019 compared to 2014. They gave me administrative rights on the app that the fire department uses, so I can mark. I'm going to use my daughter to help me. She's going to get some community service hours. We're going to start putting the fire hydrants that flow over 500 gallons per minute on the app, so the fire department will know exactly which fire hydrants they want to tap.
Great.
There's only 9 of them.
Mhm.
So I don't know, Jeff, if there's a time maybe in the spring where we can finish getting the measurements to see if there's more that have appropriate flows. So it's a work in progress. Once we identify what works, then we can identify what maybe can be enhanced.
Mhm. And I think don't we have some extra fire hydrants at the DPW building,
We have a few.
Yeah.
and they can be repaired,
They can be installed, yeah.
right? Oh, good. Well, that's good news.
The issue is we don't know where it's worth installing them. So the new hydrant doesn't.
Right, let's find that out. Yeah.
More flow.
Absolutely. Okay, thank you. We have 3 committee reports. One's written, it's been submitted by the Welcome Committee. It's online. The other is a presentation from Jim Hayes on the Climate Smart Communities, CSC. Jim, you're welcome.
Yes, I'd like to just take a few minutes to talk about what this task force has been doing. And I'd like to precede it with a little bit of background on what is happening with climate change. I am a climate scientist.
Would you mind speaking into the mic? Because I think people online, it's harder for them to hear.
Is the mic on, John?
It is, yes.
Oh, great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, John. Jim.
Is this
No,
audible? All right.
no, it's not. Hold on.
Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you.
All right. Well, first of all, climate change is a global problem. There isn't a part of our planet that will not be subject to its effects. Climate scientists have been warning for decades about the deleterious effects that may occur because of this climate change. Little action has been taken, and what has been taken is certainly not sufficient. But some good news, and that is that we've learned a lot about the climate system in the last 40 or 50 years. And we can predict quite accurately the amount of warming of our planet that is caused by a given amount of greenhouse gas emissions. We also know the effects that this is having and the directions of these effects. Some of these are public information and everybody knows about them. Glaciers are melting, the large ice sheets on Greenland and Antarctica are melting. This is causing rises in sea level. Added heat in the system increases the energy of our climate system, and therefore storms are more severe. Areas that are drying become drier, areas that are wet become wetter. And so extremes are accelerated as time goes by, and these trends will continue. And what we don't, there are uncertainties. We don't know whether the rates of change, which we are measuring now, will continue or whether they will accelerate or decelerate. There may be instabilities in the system. For example, the ice sheet in Antarctica, the part of it that faces the Pacific Ocean, which is known as West Antarctica, that's underlain by an archipelago of islands. In other words, if you strip the ice off, there would be islands there with deep bodies of water in between them. This configuration allows water to seep under the ice and lubricate its possible surging into the sea. Ice shelves that border it may melt, and there's a good possibility that some of this ice in West Antarctica will surge into the sea in a matter of a year or months. So there could be very abrupt changes. This could amount to several feet of sea level over a very short period of time. In any event, if all the ice in West Antarctica melted, global sea level would rise by 20 feet. Another 20 feet would occur, another 20-foot rise in sea level would occur if all the ice on Greenland melted. We don't expect that all to happen in this century, but we don't know about West Antarctica. That could happen sooner. But in any case, all these changes will cause great hardships for people on the planet. Coastal cities will be affected. There will be parts of the planet such as the Ganges Valley, which may be uninhabitable because people cannot work outside in the temperatures that are there. This is something that could happen within the next few decades if we don't do something about it. So there are also possibilities of irreversible changes occurring. This is something we're less certain about, but there are aspects of the climate system we don't fully understand. We don't fully understand all the feedbacks within the system that stabilize it, and it is basically a very stable system. CO2 went up and down during the ice ages in a rather large way, but it all occurred over thousands of years. The problem now is we're injecting CO2 into the atmosphere at a very, very rapid rate. And so that could cause instabilities, and we're uncertain about what they might be. So what is there to be done? Well, what we need to do is we need to limit the further warming of the atmosphere on a global basis by 1.5 degrees or 2 degrees centigrade at most. What needs to be done in order to do that? We know what that is. We need to lower greenhouse gas emissions by the end of this decade by 50% globally. That's a big deal. And lower them down to a very low level by mid-century. Now, in order for this to happen, action has to be taken at all levels in society, national level, state level, counties, towns, and villages such as our own. Everybody has to get involved. It's almost like World War II. It's going to have to be, everybody is going to have to be involved. I grew up during World War II, and I remember what it was like. And everybody did pull together. It wasn't a problem. No, everybody said we need to do what we need to do, and everybody did it. So that is what needs to be done. Now, if we talk about how does the village get involved in this, because this is in fact what affects us here, not the national level, but at the village level. Well, the state has established a lot of its agencies are involved in this, both DEC and NYSERDA. On the national level, the EPA is involved, and they've issued protocols on what needs to be done and how to do it. And in fact, it can be done. It will take work, it'll take some money to do it, but it could be done. And it's not anymore as it used to be, just buying a car that gets better mileage or insulating your house. It has to be a much more transformative change. We have to replace fossil fuels with electricity, which is generated by solar energy, either through solar panels, windmills, or hydroelectric facilities. So that is what will have to happen. And can it happen? Well, yes, it could happen. I mean, let's just take an example. At the moment, if you reduced, if all the cars became electric cars and the electricity that was in the grid was all produced by solar energy, you could reduce greenhouse gas emissions by over 40%. Now, we could do that in this village. We could go on electricity, which is produced by solar panels and wind. That's available. The mayor has recommended maybe we should build a solar farm of panels somewhere in the park and use that to electrify the village. That's a possibility. He's asked Trustee Scher to chair a committee to investigate that. And the Trustee Scher has joined our committee, and we'll work together with him on that. There are other ways to go. We could electrify the village with solar powered electricity in other ways than by building our own solar farm. But we'll investigate all phases of this and get back to the board with recommendations. So what we have been doing so far, we have a very small committee. As I said, the state has established protocols, and they've set up something called climate smart communities. And this previous board voted and pledged that this village would become one of those. They established a task force and a coordinator and asked me to coordinate it, which I agreed to do. The town has done the same thing. And Michelle Lindsay is the task force leader of the town group. we have combined forces because at the moment, we're a very few people. Jane Garofano, Peter Gamulch, Josh Shearer has joined us, and Michelle and myself. So it's not a big group, and I will speak more to that. We need more people.
Did you mention Newhouser?
What's that?
Newhouser, did you mention him? Newhouser
I'm sorry, I don't hear you.
on the committee also is Newhouser.
Oh, yes, and Skylar Newhouse.
Right.
Yes, of course, I'm sorry.
No problem.
Yeah, he's recently joined, and he's been very important because we're now doing a greenhouse gas inventory for the year 2018. And we got, with the help of John Ledwith and Jeff Voss and the chief, a lot of data for the government operations. In fact, I think we have all the data we need to measure and estimate greenhouse gas emissions by government operations. We need to now move into the community and do the residences as well as the school and the club. And there, Skylar has agreed to work to gather the data for the school and the club. Hopefully that inventory will be completed in the early part of next year. And before the end of the quarter, we should come back to you with a report on where the greenhouse gases in this village are coming from and what can be done about it, and how they can be reduced.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we are planning on doing. Now, we do need more people, so I hope anybody who's listening who'd like to get involved will get in touch with me. We have a Facebook site, and there's information on the village site, and through those two things, we can perhaps hopefully get more people involved. So that's all I have.
Thank you. I know also that you had asked the chief to gather information on what type of cars we have.
Yes.
Perfect opportunity because everyone's registering
Yeah.
for the new system. And we've asked questions, is it hybrid, gas, electric, whatever? And I think you're getting a lot of responses back.
Yeah.
So that should be very helpful. And we can download the information on Excel for you.
So that all will help. And I was having a conversation with Bill Fairclough the other day, and he said he's going to have all his lawn maintenance equipment on batteries.
Wow. Yeah,
I don't know when,
I mentioned to you that there's a,
before the end of the decade.
yeah, there was a convention recently for landscapers. And as I mentioned, when we met at your house, there was a company that has an entire, trailer, and it's got solar panels and it recharges everything. And the main issue is your leaf blowers really is, aside from the environmental, the noise impact of the blowers is a problem. People in the park have complained, but they just don't have the power. So the return on investment isn't there yet. So for example, to do the same job with electric blowers might take 3 more person hours, I guess the word is, and charge more for the job. So, it's just not, the technology is not there yet, but people are thinking about it, which I thought was very interesting. Okay, thank you, Jim. Next, the final committee report is going to be from independent communications consultant Walter Cooper. He was recommended by the communications committee, and we're considering hiring him. So we invited him to briefly describe his background and services. Is he available?
Yeah, hi, it's Maureen. I just want to say a couple things, if you don't mind, before, and he is on the line.
Terrific.
I believe, Walter, you're there?
Just also identify yourself, please, Maureen.
This is Maureen Tone. Sorry. Thank you.
Thank you. No problem.
Okay, so just to get the background, apropos to the chief's complaints about the unreliable internet service, the communication committee is here to recommend, as the mayor said, hiring an independent expert to advise the village as to the most effective and efficient way to improve our communication networks, principally our cell phone service and our internet connectivity. We believe this area requires particular expertise and knowledge. We cannot rely solely on vendors to make proposals to us clearly. We need someone to advise us and that has the know-how and industry experience. We are putting forth the name of Walter Cooper as the independent expert that we recommend should be hired. Walter has been involved in the business for over 35 years, and his resume is quite impressive. I have delivered his resume to the board of the trustees, so I assume it'll be made available publicly if anybody would like to see it.
It is publicly posted on the website, so we're good to
Excellent.
go. Yeah.
Thank you. And so I personally checked out his references, and he comes extremely highly recommended. Walter also had a scope of services, a letter that he sent to us a few months ago.
Mhm.
And his fee is for normal service or consulting services is $130 per hour. And plus expenses, travel expenses, etc. And based on similar situations, Walter estimates the fees for advising us based on similar situations. And I've described sort of what's happened in the last several months, but he estimates the fees to be between $8,000 and $12,000 in total. So I'm going to now turn it over to Walter, and Walter, correct me if I've said anything wrong.
Can he get
Well,
away?
I hope I have audio. Do you hear me?
Yes, Walter, thank you. Welcome.
I'm sorry, for some reason, my camera just died. It's been on for half an hour, but maybe it got tired. But I'm not that attractive anyway, so maybe you don't need to see me. I must say that I have very little background on your objectives and issues right now. I haven't been hired, but I have spoken with Maureen. I think I have a general idea that there is a deficiency in service. You've had some proposals for facilities, cell towers that seem to be unduly obtrusive. And there's also another proposal that may not be directly related, but could benefit overall, is the fiber optic proposal from Crown Castle. Because whatever cell facility you might build or facilities must connect back to a central station in order to operate. And fiber is generally the best way to do that. So, and fiber could give you also the opportunity to have an alternative internet provider, which again, is not strictly a wireless issue. What I would do if you should choose to hire me is understand your objectives to a much greater degree than I do now. And then look at some approaches that you might want to consider. Usually one of the biggest objections with cellular facilities is aesthetics, environmental impact, those sorts of things, visual intrusiveness. Many people have a great deal of concern about radio frequency radiation and how that might affect people. All of those things can be looked at and they can be quantified. There are a lot of changes on top of that going on in the industry. There's probably a good bit of confusion on the part of the general public. You hear terms like 5G thrown around. Prior to that, of course, we had 4G, and we went for about 3 years with people, companies selling 4G service before there was ever an accepted definition of what 4G really was. So some of it's marketing hype. I would help you cut through that and understand what's below the marketing rhetoric and what's really happening. There's a whole slew of technologies you can look at. Some might be more applicable than others. Another trend in the industry is at the major service providers like Verizon and AT&T are actually getting out of the business of building and operating their facilities, and they're farming it out. Crown Castle, who's talking with you about optical fiber, is also a tower company. They go out and build facilities. They solicit wireless carriers to come onto their facility and pay rent. The actual equipment gets installed by the service provider, but it might be maintained by a third party. And Verizon, AT&T, and the others don't actually own the site. And they don't really operate it full time. They may come out and tweak it now and then. So what that means is the people who are building most of these facilities right now are interested in getting the most bang for the buck. They want to build the largest facility they can, so they can accommodate as many tenants as they possibly can, and so they can have a lot of flexibility to make changes as the technology evolves. So when you start looking at, and probably the proposal you see most often is a lattice tower. That provides a lot of flexibility. You can hang stuff all over it. You can get to it easily for maintenance changes. And that's what most of these providers would like to give you. There are many alternatives to that. And as you get into less intrusive alternatives, the cost typically goes up, the flexibility typically goes down, and maybe coverage and performance might decrease as well. So you need to balance all of those things, and that's where I would try to be helpful. Oftentimes, municipalities will designate areas where they would like cell towers or the equivalent to be placed. Sometimes they're suitable and sometimes they're not. I can do propagation modeling, which would give you a very good idea of which sites work and which don't, how much elevation you need to get adequate performance. The other thing I'm very big on, and there might be opportunities in Tuxedo Park, is using existing structures. You can conceal antennas and cell sites inside buildings, on water towers and church steeples, on rooftop equipment buildings. The industry makes a wide range of radio transparent materials that you can wrap around these things so that they're not really visible, but the performance doesn't suffer. You can do fake trees. Those usually don't work very well, although I'm aware of a couple that were done very well. In Arizona, they do giant cacti all over the roadways, and they work very nicely. They're made out of plastic. So that's sort of the general idea, and I can't be more specific without knowing more about your needs and schedules.
Terrific. So, Walter, would you recommend that before we make a decision on retaining you, that we send you our scope of work?
That would certainly be helpful.
What do you think about that, Maureen? We certainly, I was certainly going to, approve hiring. I was going to approve hiring based on recommendations, which you've seen, but I haven't seen. So we could do in the resolution, we could do based on the acceptance of the scope of work as well as the references or something. How's
Yeah,
that
sure.
sound?
I don't have anything written from the references. I verbally spoke with them. I can write it up.
Okay, that's fine. You put them down on paper. We'll share
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Okay, good.
I guess, one question strikes me is the problem can be defined on a whole series of levels. Okay. One problem when we had that blackout, a year ago, and everyone went down to the church parking lot to be able to use their phones. We found that AT&T wouldn't work at all, but one of the other, the T-Mobile, worked fine. And generally T-Mobile doesn't work well. So one question is, there are differences among cell phone providers in their ability to provide services. Addressing that problem may or may not affect your issue, which is, secure communications between different police entities. So I guess what I'd love to have here is not just a scope of work, but the definition of the problem that we're trying to solve. Because in some sense, the problem you're defining is a security problem. And I don't know if it's a hardwiring issue or I just don't understand what it is, right? But it seems to me that's one level of problem. The second is quality of internet communication. And, is there an alternative to Optimum in here? And I assume those are questions, Walter, that you would be addressing in your framing the issue. Is that correct?
That's certainly something I could address. And there are, if this is, I gather this is a public safety issue. One of the carriers, AT&T, has a whole network overlaid on their existing network strictly for public safety called FirstNet. That's something that should definitely be looked at and to see if it's applicable to your situation. The other carriers, in terms of their reliability, it all depends. I mean, I can't say that one is more reliable than another. It depends on the location, the state of their equipment, and the facilities they have at that location. But there's certainly things that you can do to make sure that anything is built gives adequate consideration to reliability in terms of backup power. And for example, and cell towers don't work unless they can connect to a central station. Many of them are connected by microwave, maybe with the fiber facility coming in. That's a better way to do it. But if that fiber is on utility poles, maybe it's not. So all of those things enter into the situation. You can look at each one and see where the pluses and minuses are.
So my comment with respect to trustees is deciding the scope of the problem is more than just telling them what we want to see. I mean, I'd like to have a definition of the problem so I better understand it. And then tier a framework for dealing with the issues about safety. You mentioned the AT&T thing. So having a comprehensive framework lets us evaluate the things that get suggested either by you or by vendors. So we can put that in our definition.
Okay.
Okay. Great, thank you.
Any other questions by the trustees? Or anyone in the audience?
The only thing I would just reiterate is what Paul said. I think we got to define the problem because I've heard a number of problems, right? Public safety, quality of cell service, and the rest. So I'd like to second that.
Yeah, actually, the communications committee, Paula and Maureen and I actually rewrote the mission statement, which has been reposted on the village website. You may want to give that a check. But I think we've had a number of meetings and discussions since our meeting a month ago at the club with Sheila, and have come quite a long way since then in terms of what our goals are. So, yeah.
I had one general question for you, Walter, that I don't seem to understand. So right now, Verizon does have a fiber that comes into the village, and John thinks it goes up to their building. Right, John?
Yes.
Is there any way that Verizon would cooperate with us on something like that? Or would we have to have like Crown Castle come in and do whatever they do, the micro trenching or whatever, and bring it all further into the village?
Yes, you describe a very common problem, particularly with Verizon. Verizon had a service, a fiber service, and they are no longer promoting that service. They're supporting existing installations. So what you probably will have to do is a third-party provider picking up the service from Verizon and extending it out to where you need it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also it's residential, and we had the chief contact them recently, and it was a dead end.
That's not surprising.
Yeah. So
there's not a lot of money in residential fiber.
No. Okay, so
then, I mean, I don't see much benefit if we can't tap into, like, if the Crown Castle did bring it into the school or to the village office and then the club, you can't tap off of that for residential purposes, right?
You may be able to. I don't know what their proposal is, but if anyone would do it, Crown Castle is more likely to than Verizon, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Crown Castle mentioned that they are considering doing it if you have a DBA or an LLC, because they are not residential. But because of COVID and because of all the people working at home, having like my boathouse is in an LLC, and that's where I want to do my That's where I'm doing my office, remote office stuff. So I might be a candidate for that, for example. But it would be cost prohibitive likely because it's not going to be sent around on all of our polls. It's only going to be coming in as feeds if we use them directly to the club, the school, and the police. So I don't know if that's feasible either.
Well, but I think Walter should evaluate it, but what I heard from Crown Castle when I was on the phone is that there's splicing points where, because I asked this question, splicing points where they could install mini towers or DOS. And then that would service residential and non-residential customers, I guess, because they go through the carriers, but.
That'd be terrific.
But
Okay,
anyway,
great.
that's why we would get Walter, who's the expert.
Right.
to advise us.
Okay. Well, listen, Walter, on behalf of the board and the community, thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I will,
Might wanna give a
I'm going to drop off now.
Okay, thank you, Walter. Did anyone else have a question?
I don't see. any-
Okay, moving on. All right, now,
I think Brenda wants to give a presentation on the welcome committee.
there's no presentation, it's a written presentation. I already mentioned it unless she wants to change that. Bryna?
Sorry, Mac, just to finish on the last one, what's the next steps here?
On the agenda, we have a resolution to discuss hiring him
Thank you.
on
Okay.
this evening's agenda. Yeah, in the regular session. Bryna, did you want to say something?
Oh, I can, sure. I know that there was something sent in, but so Pam Bremen and I are the co-chairs of the Welcome Committee. We are moving everything forward. We have composed a letter that is going to the first resident to whom we have been introduced through a broker who sold this person the house. And Pam has put together a beautiful little plant arrangement to deliver along with a letter from the two of us.
Mm-hmm.
This resident on Lookout Road will receive that. And we will continue to do this with everyone to whom we are introduced. So we ask brokers or the village office to please keep us in the loop when someone does close on a house, so we can very happily welcome them and give them the information that they probably would very much welcome.
Terrific. I posted that information from the Welcome Committee on the village website under today's meeting. So it is there. It is very beautiful and I'm very excited about it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, and then we have the minutes that are published. All right, so before we move on to the consent agenda, we have the public comment period, 2 minutes per person on agenda items. The public comment period is now open. I'll start with anyone first here in the room, and then I'll go to the people on Zoom, and I'll ask that everyone identify themselves, please, and speak at the microphone if you're here.
Hi, Jay Reichgott, 121 Laurel Road. I looked at the preliminary plan for the DOT relocation and have a couple of thoughts. First, the document discusses possibly needing to move north, further north, to get enough land. I'm sure the engineers are aware, if not, they'll figure out soon, most of the land to the north of the current boundary is 100-year floodplain. So there are some complications there. Anything's possible, but they should be aware of that. The other thing, and let me put my town council hat on, that is a well-used and well-loved public park. So we all know that there's some perhaps friction between the town and the village that we'll have to work through. Let me say, I'll be happy to help liaison that. But also when we're looking at landscaping and things like that, it's the backside of the DPW, but it's the front side of the park.
Right, I believe that the current configuration does not infringe on the parking lot or the baseball field. but I was unaware of the floodplain. And so I'll certainly bring that up to them immediately. These are preliminary plans, but
No, understood. This is.
yeah, no, and having you make these comments is terrific. Yeah, so I'd love to work with you on it as a liaison to the town. That would be very helpful. I'll ask Michelle if she's interested. I think she may or may not be interested, but I had approached her first. And yeah, I mean, I've noticed some stuff immediately too. Parking, for example, it looks a little tight and so forth, but it's a very exciting opportunity. And, you know, just to give everyone an idea of the time frame, this is 23, 24 kind of thing, I would think. We would have to first declare that the WEWA, the DPW, that land can be sold or modified, and same with the village office here, that it could be sold to a residence, for example. And then there would have to be the costing of the new building. And whether it's even possible to do, we don't know. But as you may recall, we spent $3,500 and asked 3 firms to present. We chose this one and they came through with these drawings. I'm very excited about it, but it's a long, long way away.
Understood. And I'm not throwing rocks.
Yeah.
The last thing I'd mention, the one thing that Corey Field is missing is functioning restrooms. So since it sounds like this is now dragging utilities, you know, the water and sewer hookups further north, if we can look at the possibility of finding a way to create some restrooms for the park, that'd be
terrific. Yeah.
Terrific.
And I know we have the water mains there.
Yeah. So there we go. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Jay. Appreciate that. Anyone else okay, no other public is in the actual meeting. Let's open the floor up to the people on Zoom. Does anyone have a question? Please raise your hand, the hand symbol, and identify yourself. How we doing, John?
I do not see anybody raising their hand.
Last call. Okay, thank you. Public comment period is closed. All right, we're going to move on to the consent agenda. I'll read through them. Add all written reports to the permanent record. Approve the BOT November special meeting and regular meeting minutes. Approve local law number 3 of 221, a local law to amend village law related to site plan approval. Now that we're going to remove because we've continued the public hearing, so there will be no vote. Now, on number D, approve local law number 5 of 2021, a local law to amend village law related to access to the village. Trustee Casker asked that that be removed from the consent agenda. So I will move that later in the meeting under a new category, under regular agenda called owed business.
I'm actually okay with that now after the hearing and the earlier remarks.
Okay.
So we
Okay,
can
good.
Keep that one.
So we'll keep that one in?
Yep.
Okay. All right, you also wanted us to remove the approve the contractor vehicle registration at $29.95 for multiple vehicles and with commercial plates.
Correct.
Contractor vehicles without commercial plates are $29.95 each additional vehicle. So I've removed that and put that under new business as well. F, approve the 2021 WeWa Beach Club membership and guest pass fees for the 2022 season, excuse me, and approve accepting donations for the park renovation. Now, Chris, you also asked me to take that one out.
Yes, please.
So I have put that also under old business. Now, I will tell you that in the last meeting, we approved the memo of recommendations for the rates and the eligibility. But as you know, because I sent all of the trustees on the 22nd of November, an email requesting to move forward with the old rates and that we would retroactively adjust. it's good that we're going to have a vote on that. So I put that later on there. And I believe, Chris, that was it, right?
Let me double check. Might be.
Then you
I-
can consent and then move this stuff forward.
Yeah, it can-
Yeah, no, yeah, we'll do
You're
that.
still going through it. I don't know what the bollard coverage for, so I just,
Okay, maybe I can just tell you.
maybe.
All right, so the bollard covered is the same as the existing bollard covers that we have. There's 6 of them. And the new bollard cover is going to go over the piping, the 8-inch piping that you see in the new median, which is going to be attached as well with the camera and a light for the license plate reader.
Okay.
So what you see now is kind of a tall 6 or 8 foot something with a big pole. That's all being cut down and the bollard put on its place. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we've just read that one. Then we have award village office fuel oil tank replacement to Cross River Environmental at a cost of $21.50 for a double wall tank. Now, by the way, all of these documents, backup documents, prices and everything else are all listed on the website in the meeting section. All right, so then we have approve adjusting the water billing for account 365 from 46695 to 330141 due to a failed meter test and recommended by Denise. B, approve changing the water bill for account 655 from $1,327.45 to $232.20 due to a temporary relocation of a meter. Then we are also planning to fold the solar panel committee, which we established last month, into the Climate Smart Community Task Force, as Jim mentioned tonight. And J, approve John Ledwith to declaring the following DPW items surplus and to place the items for sale on the public auction and granting John the authority to approve the highest bid and implement the transfer of goods. Items 1 through 11 are listed and posted on the website with photographs. Then we have the bollard, which we just discussed, and then we have approved the reappointments of members of the Tree Advisory Board to the following terms. Christopher Gow, Chair, 3-year term. Shuyan Hempel, Member, 3-year term. Jill Swerble, Member, 2-year term. Father Richard Dedos Robin, Member, 2-year term. And now, Chris, you had also mentioned Michael McPadden. The chief withdrew his offer
Oh,
a
okay.
couple weeks ago. Okay, so that said, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees approve this evening's consent agenda, items 7A, B, G, H, I, J, K, and L. May I have a second?
Seconded.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, terrific. All right, moving on to regular agenda.
Wait,
Old business?
Mac, I'm sorry, I
ma'am.
was on mute. You need to add the letter D in the consent agenda because that's the one that Chris said that he's fine with, not removing.
Correct, thank you,
Approving
thank
local law
you,
D. Okay.
thank you, appreciate it. Good
Uh-huh.
pickup. And did I already call the vote?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna redo this. Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees approve this evening's consent agenda items 7A, B, D, G, H, I, J, K, and L. May I have a second, please?
And
Second.
And the Tree Advisory Board people?
so I have a little question
That's
also.
L.
When you say this evening consent, isn't it 9 consent agenda items? A, B, 3, 4, 5.
Well,
6,
let's see.
7,
Let's go over it.
9.
Let's see. We have a total, we're using a number system. And we have a total. We've removed we've removed, we removed E, right?
We removed E and F.
E, F, G,
Yeah. A, B,
C.
D, G.
No,
Mhm,
yeah,
D was removed.
mhm.
yeah. So A, B, D, G, H, I, J, K, L, right?
A, B, D, G, H, I, J,
J.
K, and L. J is the transferring of the DPW goods to auction. That's good to go.
Mhm.
I was the rolling the solar panel committee into the climate smart task force.
Mhm.
And J,
They're nine approved.
K is the approval of the bollard, and L is the tree advisory people, so I believe I'm correct.
Nine. Mhm.
And so we've got 7A, B, G, H, I, J, K, and L. May I have a second?
Nine items. Second,
All in favor?
I,
Aye.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you. Old business. There's no longer A number one. We're now on to new business. I'll read the resolution, then we can chat. Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees approve 2 months of services from QuickBooks at a cost of $500 for the first month and $200 for the second month to A, transfer voucher system from Excel to QuickBooks. B, transfer village budget from Excel to QuickBooks. And C, organize chart of accounts. May I have a second?
second.
Second.
Any discussion?
Just a quick question. I read the proposal. This is just 2 months of help with transition, correct?
Yeah, you saw it on the meetings.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I posted it.
And
Yes,
there's follow on if we need it, like she
Yeah.
can keep
no contracts.
going. Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, it almost speaks for itself, but we're doing a lot of things outside the system.
Yeah.
And we need to take advantage of the QuickBooks system.
So question to Elizabeth, how much time do you think this would save you in a work week? Once it's transitioned and done?
I have absolutely no idea.
Anytime?
I mean, honestly, I don't mean to be uncooperative. I just have absolutely no idea.
In my professional opinion,
I mean, actually, it wouldn't save me any time if Denise does the accounts
Okay,
payable.
okay, Denise.
well, in my professional opinion,
Yeah.
having worked with QuickBooks for, I don't know, 20 years, the voucher system is all done through Excel, which means outside the system.
Mhm.
And if we can do interconnectivity, what we can do is we can have all the information entered once into QuickBooks. Then when it's time to do payables or a voucher, QuickBooks will set up a custom form that will populate the voucher form that we're used to or something similar.
Okay.
And allow for signature lines with electronic signature.
Okay.
So it should save everybody
It'll
a lot of time.
eliminate a whole manual step
Correct. And
and
also,
possibly errors in that
Right.
transmission.
that's right. So we'll see what they could do in terms of automation, but I do recommend it. And I think the biggest one, if we can only get one thing accomplished, it's the budget. We've always done the budget on Excel. We do not use the budget module in QuickBooks. So that is clearly an issue, trying to match the two, not following the chart of accounts to see things add up from the different reiterations and where they come through. So clearly that's to our advantage. And they claim that they can do these projects for us for that 500.
And I think some of the difficulties in the years has been because our current system isn't really set up for municipal accounts. Is this gonna?
Well, actually, we are, because it all starts with the chart of accounts.
Okay.
That's the engine that drives all of your ledgers. And we have incorporated the municipal chart of accounts. But because we're not using the budget module, we're manually combining things in Excel, and then we do a printout, and it's not as efficient as it would be if it were integrated into the actual accounting software. There's really nothing that we're doing here in this small operation, and I've checked this with the accountant, that would require us to get a heavy duty municipal accounting system at this point in time. And before we were to do that, we need to get our P's and Q's in order anyway, so that they could transfer it over easily to a new system if we ever decide to do that. We wouldn't want to do it all at the same time. But so I'm highly recommending it.
So the one thing I'd ask is Elizabeth and I spent time with this firm called Certify that does, you know, a significant module in integrating all that stuff.
Terrific.
You know, I guess one of the questions, since Elizabeth is following up with them, is if we do this with QuickBooks, does that accelerate or alter the project? I don't want to double work stuff if need be. I'm all in favor of, you know, enhancing the technology base of what we're doing to simplify everybody's work. And that would be one of the questions as you talk to Certify, you would ask whether this is in fact duplicative or separate.
It sounds like it's highly duplicative, to be honest.
It could be, I just don't know. And if it's duplicative, it can always be transferred in quite simply.
So what I would recommend then is that we find out from them.
We're approving 2 months of service. And how much
Right.
is 2
And we don't have to start it. 700.
$700.
Yeah, we don't have to implement it.
Yeah, no.
Right, until we have the information we need.
I'm happy to approve
Yeah.
it.
Good.
Just highlight the question.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't want to do double work. Absolutely not. Okay. And we are doing double work right now with this. Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you.
One thing, John, can you admit Stuart McGregor into
I
the?
did, just a moment
did?
ago, I did.
Okay,
Okay, ready? Okay, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees hire communication consultant Walter Cooper to work directly with the Communications Committee, pending the review of his references, approval of the village scope of work, and other items based on the strategy that we have in mind for our communications system in the park.
The only question I ask is, he said 8 to 12,000. Shall we cap it at 12,000?
What is in the budget?
We put the last one. 12.
12. Yeah, I would like to cap it.
Okay, I would suggest you do it as is and cap it at 12,000. If
Mhm.
it's going to be more than that, he's going to come back to us.
Right, not to exceed 12. And Chris, you've unfortunately haven't been able to do anything with the committee, with the communications committee. You haven't been able to attend any meetings.
Last
Do you,
meeting they scheduled, I specifically said the day I couldn't do it, and
I know. Do you mind if I give the liaison role over to Tinka?
no.
Okay.
She's gone to.
She's been at the meetings. Yep. Okay. So, and that trustee Casker is replaced by trustee Shaw as committee liaison. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Now, I'm going to involve our village attorney. The next on the agenda is a resolution imposing a proof of vaccination requirement in municipal facilities. And the village attorney has sent us a memo, which is posted, as well as a resolution, which is posted. Do you want to introduce that resolution and I'll accept it?
And this was for the mask option.
Correct.
Whereas on December 10th, 2021, the governor of the state of New York announced new requirements concerning entry to public places other than private residences. And whereas such requirements mandate that municipalities either require proof of vaccination as a condition of entry to municipal facilities or require all persons to wear face coverings consistent with guidance from the Center for Disease Control. And whereas the Village of Tuxedo Park Board has reviewed the guidance issued by the governor and the commissioner of the Department of Health, now therefore be it resolved. Whereas clauses incorporated, Village of Tuxedo Park Board hereby determines that effective December 13th, 2021, all persons 2 or older whom are medically able to tolerate a face covering, mask, must wear such face covering or mask at all times while inside any village facility. Municipal staff, employees shall not be required to wear a mask covering when actively engaged in eating or drinking in a manner permissible by any applicable policies. Section 2, the village mayor may take any and all actions necessary to carry out the provisions of this resolution. Mayor is hereby authorized to participate in any written impact negotiation requests submitted by an employee union in response to the implementation of this resolution. The mayor is also authorized to provide any religious accommodations or medical or accommodations for medical conditions that may be required under law in carrying out the provisions of this resolution. Lastly, regardless of the date of the actual adoption of this resolution shall be deemed effective December 13th in accordance with the executive order. Any actions taken by the official in implementing the provisions of this resolution prior to the date of adoption are hereby ratified and confirmed as necessary actions that were required in order to comply with directives from the governor of the state of New York, Commissioner of Health in the state of New York. Emergency measures.
Accepted. Let me request a second.
Yeah, I had one question.
Yeah, no,
before
we'll
that.
do that after we do the,
Okay.
yeah. Can I have a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Paul.
The governor's order expires on January 15th.
That's correct.
Does our resolution here expire at the same date?
It would effectively, if that executive order
Although
is
it's
no
not
longer
called out.
necessary, it could expire on that date. I mean, the resolution just authorizes, I guess, the village to continue following CDC guidelines and also recommendations by state officials.
Right, rather than just layering on, if the governor changes policy, there should be a sunset quality to it so that we don't have to then repeal it. Right?
Our resolution is to follow the governor's executive order, right? So when it expires, well, whatever we do here
It will
expires.
expire effectively when that executive order is lifted.
Or extend.
Yeah, right.
Okay, that sounds fine. This is my question.
Now, this is a template you sent your municipalities, right? This wasn't written specifically for us.
Well, it's written specifically for every one of our clients.
Right. Right. You sent it to everybody. Yeah. I'm not saying you double charge or anything. Okay, any other discussion?
So
Yes.
I just want to be clear about this. You either have the choice of verifying that anyone in the building, anyone and everyone in the building is vaccinated, or if you choose not to do that, then everyone has to be masked. Is that the right interpretation
If I
of
may,
this order?
Right, so there are two options. It's either requiring proof of vaccination for everyone 12 and older, or if that's not feasible and it's more economical, I would say for the municipalities, requiring that all individuals wear masks in places that are not private residences within the village.
And can you have different implement option A or
You
B
cannot.
in different buildings?
You cannot, no. It has to be one or the other.
So, and from what I understand, the mayor also can give the religious exemptions. Or let's say if the DPW, their union doesn't agree with it, he can negotiate with the union on
Right.
the mask
And-
wearing policy or showing vaccination policy.
Yeah, and ultimately, Trustee Shaw, we would recommend a case-by-case approach.
It's also noteworthy that our county executive, Steve Newhouse, is one of 14 counties that is not going to be enforcing the governor's order.
So
But we are.
But let me ask you something.
We just don't think they're going to send somebody down in SWAT
Why
tank.
do we have to adopt these resolutions? Is that a law that we have to do this?
Well, it's an executive order, which essentially has the effect of law.
But we can choose not to enforce it, just like Orange County, Newhouser said. Correct?
Again, our recommendation would be to implement one or the other. I'm not gonna advise the village to not enforce the law, but
And we're implementing which one?
option two,
Right,
which is.
like we're doing
masks-
tonight.
Masks for everyone.
Right. Since everyone couldn't show a Vax card, everyone has to wear a mask. If everyone in the room had a Vax card, we would not have to wear masks.
Well, again, it depends what you guys want to do.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's one.
Okay. So, any other discussion?
Nope.
All right, let's do the vote. Tinka,
I'm abstaining.
Josh,
I'm in favor.
Paul,
In favor?
Chris.
Aye, in favor.
Okay, ayes have it. Moving right along. Now, I may need a little help here because it was a last minute ad on the valve. Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees approve the purchase of a new pressure valve for the installation at a town DPW location it's for the new valve, and the new valve is printed, it's posted on the website. And did everyone get a chance to see it? There's a 3,000.
Yeah, the pressure valve in
Yeah,
town.
okay, is that good enough for you guys for the resolution?
Yep.
Okay, may I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
I
now the PERMA, okay, another last minute addition. Do you want to just briefly explain that to the board?
I don't really know that much about it. I know that it's something that we do every year
Mm-hmm,
and we are not charged for it.
mm-hmm,
They said, when I asked her that, I sent an email asking for more clarification and I was told there is no administrative fee associated with this service that you're voting on. There are also currently no open tail claims. So if any reopen, there might be claims costs associated with them, but there still would not be a per claim fee. This agreement is only for claims that occurred prior to February 2008,
mm-hmm.
not the village's regular PERMA membership. And so that's all that I really know about it.
Okay, I'll ask our attorney if you have any understanding of this.
I have not reviewed that.
Okay, and I don't either. Is there a time frame, or can we table this?
January 20th.
Perfect. The meeting's the 19th.
I know.
Perfect. Okay, we'll table.
Done early.
Does anyone mind if we table?
No, not at all.
Because I don't even know what it is, really. Okay. Now, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees approve the contractor vehicle registration at $29.95 for multiple vehicles with commercial plates. Contractor vehicles without commercial plates are $29.95 each. Additional vehicle, may I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, discussion. Now, you had wanted to bring it out. You have some,
Yeah,
obviously you have some
so-
ideas.
Just really, I don't think I fully understand the policy. So what's the definition of a contractor vehicle? Just, is Amazon a contractor vehicle? Is it a
No.
dump truck? And like, how does this,
Right,
just
right.
big
We-
picture? I think a lot of people
Okay.
probably have questions.
Okay,
about
so,
it.
yeah, and we've been dealing with a lot of questions. Basically, we refer to them as vendors, and delivery vendors, and they are not required to get. And we're referring to two groups. The group of landscapers that are regular, as well as contractors that a resident wants to sign up that may not be a regular. And with those would come timeframes.
Okay.
So in other words, you could, if I'm a homeowner and I say, look, I'm doing a project for the next 6 months and these are the vendors.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have them meet with you, give you the license. They're gonna pay if they want to and come in. They don't have to pay.
I thought we could put them under our own.
You can.
Wasn't that the last thing? I could,
Residents cannot,
No,
you can request it through a form. like you can
yes,
fill out a
that,
form.
I just want to be clear. Yes, we can do that, but not through the application.
Exactly.
We're not doing the
Okay.
application.
right.
Yeah.
So I have a regular guy, I know I'm gonna,
Mhm.
gonna be there for 6 straight months. I can say, hey,
Right.
he's my guy,
Mhm.
Exactly.
fill out a form, you do it, but that's not a charge. Or you're saying that is a charge?
There would be a charge if you want him to go through the automatic gate.
Okay.
If you don't want him to go through the automatic gate, he doesn't have to go through the automatic gate.
But I'm a little confused. What's the difference between someone like that Chris was mentioning and your housekeeper?
The housekeeper is on the residential for free.
Mm,
So if I can just interject for a minute, we have a list, we sat down and went over a list of everyday contractors that are in here every day, landscapers, tree removal companies, arborists. And there's about 30 people, 30 companies on that list.
Okay.
And they're through the gate multiple times per day, in and out, in and out, in and out. Those are the people that we're considering contractors, everyday contractors in the village. Vendors such as SOS Fuels, we're obviously not going to charge them or consider them as a contractor because they have multiple trucks. We don't know which one's coming in to do the delivery. Same with school buses,
Yeah.
it's the same type of.
I guess to me, it seems like it's hard to draw a line between who has to pay for the fee and who doesn't.
It's optional.
Okay, so what happens if you don't?
You
Hey.
just wait at the gate and get in. You have to stop. Like it happens right now, no change.
Wouldn't we rather just get them registered so that they can come and go?
Yeah, our goal is
That's
to,
my goal.
yeah, we want them to get registered. Yeah, we do want them to. But they don't have to. I think there's an incentive with the South Gate.
Oh, so we want them to be able to come in the South Gate too?
Oh, yeah. A lot of them come from that direction.
So you pay, you get
So
to come in the
the-
South
I
Gate,
mean,
you don't pay, you don't?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
I mean, yeah. I think if you look at a regular landscaper, right, they do enough volume of business that like that's just going to be a cost of business and they'll just pass it along. It's going to be inconsequential to our bills. A housekeeper doesn't make any sense, right? Relative, like just the volume of business they're doing doesn't make sense to charge them. I mean, I think the system that's being proposed makes a ton of sense.
Mhm. Yeah, I think we're working out the kinks. We had a very good meeting with the school the other day. And I had a discussion with the church. They're very happy right now. The school's very happy. And I had a brief discussion with the president of the Tuxedo Club, but not a full-on discussion. They are leaning very much towards an annual fee, and they'll just tell their members, just sign up for free.
Yep.
And yeah,
That's
so
correct.
we're excited about it so far. So any other discussion?
So the club's perspective is every club member will get a pass and they'll pay a one-time fee.
Yeah, that's what the direction they're leaning. Yeah.
It seems,
The school might consider it as well, but they really, when I mentioned the 6 number, then when I explained though that their parents are paying $90 a tag versus the $29.95 for multiple vehicles, they were happy about that. Okay, so that's the last item then. Chris, do you any more comments?
No, I get it. It's a nominal fee, but we've never charged before. I'm not in favor of it, but I know that won't stop it, so that's fine.
No, okay, you can, understood. All right, so end of discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
No.
No. Okay.
I would suggest that this is a situation where we reevaluate in 3 months or 6 months and adjust whatever we need to do.
Totally agree. Yeah, these are only resolutions, not local laws, so we have that flexibility
Okay.
by design. Okay, all right, now, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees approve the same 2021 WWBC membership and guest pass fees for the 2022 season and approve accepting donations for the park renovation. May I have a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion. Chris, you wanted this to be pulled out?
Yeah,
But Chris, before I do it, I've requested a couple times a budget for the Weewah Beach Club or the Weewah Beach and Bathing Club or the Weewah Club. I don't know. For legal questions, maybe you want to leave off bathing as a concept. But I have not seen a budget, and it seems to me having a sense of the budget would sort of be important to look at fees. Because we're also going to be making a significant contribution to improve the facility at some point. And I just don't have a sense of what the numbers.
All right, let me break it down for you. So first of all, the Weewah Park Committee did not present a budget in their recommendation, which we accepted by majority vote at the last meeting.
Well, they
Point
did.
on that.
not
We
really
accepted their
budget.
recommendation to hire New
Right.
York pools. We didn't accept their memo.
I have the resolution itself.
Yeah, I just read it. It's just the recommendation to hire the pools, and you specifically said we're just talking about.
Regular
Hire.
agenda resolved to accept the recommendations of Weewah Park to hire. Okay, yeah, that can be interpreted that way. It's no big deal either way. So Paul, we know what membership brought in last year of $30,000. Okay, that's what the membership last year brought in, according to the Weewah Park Committee. They brought in $30,000 of membership fees. So we know that we have to match that in order to cover the cost of the new pool manager. And the committee debated whether or not they should increase the rates at a cost of inflation. And those rates were presented in the memo that we were just referring to. And since that time, I sent out the impetus for going back to last year was more of a way to diffuse the situation. One of the things, there were two things said at the last meeting when we voted on this by the Weewah Beach Committee. One was that this new agreement is going to provide less services at a higher cost. So I think there were two things I tried to balance after that meeting. One was the higher cost. So that's when I discussed with the committee going back to the original numbers from last year without raising it. And then before I signed the contract with the pool company, we had several meetings, John, myself, Denise, and others. And we went over all the line items that the Weewah Beach Club were concerned about. Who's going to have to, lifeguards aren't going to have time to clean up and still watch. And there were 3 or 4 other things which we addressed. Do they have insurance? They have a blanket of 8 million. I mean, an umbrella of 8 million. So we resolved all those issues. So what the committee was trying to do was to diffuse the shock of the change and at least maintain the membership as well as the prices and keep the service at the same levels. I think the committee's done a good job in doing that. I don't particularly feel the need for a budget, but I certainly think that we need to be addressing this along the way over the next few months. Because if we don't receive membership fees or if the Hamlet people don't want to come in, there could be an issue there. It's pretty straightforward.
The only thing I'm saying from my perspective is, not having seen the budget, I don't know how much they spent on lifeguards.
Mhm.
I intuitively assume that the adding a new service will increase costs and there will be existing costs. I also believe in principle, as you know, that I felt that the village has a resource here that they should make a contribution to that is significant to fix up what we want, right? And, given the fact that you're making a larger contribution and it's from tax revenues, my belief is that the size of the Weewah Club be increased by not only those historically that did, but by every member of the village potentially being a member of it. And use will, so you improve it, you use it more, it'll be a more robust community resource, it would be accretive to values, all that stuff. So I can accept that 2022 is a transition year. It's whatever,
Right,
it's whatever it is, right? I'm merely trying to understand that, you know, we know roughly what the revenues were last year.
Mhm.
We know, I believe roughly that the revenues were half from village residents and half from town residents,
Mhm.
okay?
Mhm.
So, you know, I just, you know, I went on the WeWa Beach Club website and I said, let's see who the officers, I couldn't find anything.
Mhm.
Now, maybe that's because I'm a troglodyte on the computer. It's entirely possible, but on the same token, I said, I'm supportive of, you know, fixing it up and making it a more robust facility for
Mhm.
everybody involved,
Mhm.
right? And, you know, the way I think about that is we start with the, because if the question is going to come up, you know, what kind of contribution do we as a village want to make to the WeWa
Right,
Club?
right.
And I have no way of trying to dimensionalize that
Mhm.
number.
Mhm.
And the only way I know how to dimensionalize is to begin with a statement of what's the current number.
Right, sure. No, those are all good
You know,
points.
So
We have, I have distributed all the financials from the club. The WeWa Park Committee has all those numbers.
okay.
And then in my proposal last year to co-manage, we detailed out all the expenses. Now, that's one issue. Your issue, though, is very interesting. Come this next budget year, the board should consider making an investment in taxpayer dollars for the purpose of allowing village residents to go free. And I think that should be something we consider in the next budget, which starts next spring. And to that end, now that's one issue. Then there's also a renovation issue of the park. We've received proposals from several landscape firms to do a low impact redesign for the park. And that is a separate issue, which would require donations. Because, for example, the renovation could be $1 million. So there's something we, you know, so that's a separate fundraising effort that will be concurrent with the park. So by then we should certainly have all that information in front of us to make a proper decision on the budget. But this year, unfortunately, we can't because it's not in the budget. We can't pay for it. So we have to charge the people.
I'm supportive of,
Yeah.
all I'm saying is I'm looking at what's going to look in year 2 or year 3.
Mhm.
And whatever the transition is, it's a transition.
Mhm.
You know, in principle, I think, because it is a community resource and the community includes village residents and town residents who've been around, right?
Mhm.
That it is of value to us to improve that facility.
Mhm.
And if the interim solution is to keep the dues the same, move forward, you know, I'm fine with it.
Mhm.
I'm merely saying that I want to begin to address what the issue is in the spring,
Yeah,
you know, for the 23 year, not the 20, this is for the 22 year.
right.
I'd like to have it clear by the time we get to 23, and we're going to look at
Yes.
plans to improve it and whether.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Force or the low end or the
Mhm.
high end, whatever it is.
Mhm. Now, I think, Jay, you wanted to say something?
If I may, I think it's important to keep in mind that there are sort of two entities here that get conflated a lot. There is the Village of Tuxedo Park facility, which is, call it WeWa Park or
Mhm.
Pigeon Point or whatever it is.
Mhm.
That's the grounds. That's open to all village residents to use with certain restrictions. And then there's the swim club,
Correct.
which has had various names, which for all intents and purposes is the organization with the mandate or the license to run the swimming beach during swimming season.
Correct.
And those are really separate things. So improving the park
Mhm.
is a village responsibility, just like improving the
Mhm.
racetrack or any other village facility.
Yeah.
And that, to a certain extent, needs to be separated from swim operations.
Right, and it is because you have your membership fees for running the swim club.
Right.
And then we're accepting donations for the improvement of the park. Now, that could be anywhere from a new bathroom to, a community center where people can go, and when you were giving your speech, there's places to sit.
Right.
But a community gathering spot. That's key, I think, to this.
Right.
And the third is the village board during the budgeting process allocating resources to the park
Yes.
for other smaller issues, potentially.
For all of the things.
Right. So they are separate and they're both organic. So we might calculate that we need to put in 20 grand, or let's say that the revenue last year for village and Hamlet members was 30 grand. We're going to need the revenue from the Hamlet at 15. So in order for people to go free, we're going to have to at least put 15 grand in of taxpayer dollars. I mean, off the top of my head, right? And that's going to be separate from raising money to award to a landscape designer if we decide to do that.
Right, and that doesn't necessarily have to only be, there's no law that says it has to be donations. The village, as an entity, could decide that we're gonna put village funds.
Right, let's say that we raised 500,000 in donations, and the price for the renovation that everyone agreed on is 700. We could do a bond, we could take a no interest loan, we could do other things for that, yes.
Yeah, we can, conceptually, you say there's a low end and high end. So you basically say the village will commit to, whatever the number is, 25 grand, and proceed to fundraise an additional 500,000.
Right.
Right. And depending on how successful that is,
exactly.
Minimum, and it's easy enough done. But all I'm saying is with respect to, and I couldn't make it, I was away last month. With respect to what we're talking about, I'm happy to keep with your resolution that we keep the fees for the WeWa Beach Club as they are. But not lose sight of the fact that we're trying to set something up that's going to be a little more complicated for a year from now.
2023. Yeah.
Which, depending on what happens with the DPW site currently, could include,
an extra side. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Good.
There you go. Okay, good. So any other questions?
Couple more.
Yeah.
So again, Jay, Paul, thanks. I mean, one of the things I do want to clarify, because there's no resolution clarifying this, is what is the service you get for membership? It's, is it just swimming, right? Like I can go use the park whenever I want. If I'm not a member, I just can't go swimming.
I have all that's posted. I'll be happy to go over for you.
Did the board approve of that? That's what I'm thinking. I just want maybe some housekeeping, right? Like
the enforcement facility is by the WeWa Beach Club people who during WeWa Beach Club hours let people in. There's never been.
But that's gone.
To be clear, that doesn't exist anymore.
It doesn't exist.
No, it's not gone.
Well, sorry,
It is not gone.
I misspoke. As I understand the current arrangement, the WeWa Beach Club, that entity, and I'm not speaking for them, obviously, but they are not part of the management program, unless there's something going on that I don't know about, for this year.
Correct.
So the Board of Trustees has not approved eligibility to be a member and has not discussed the services provided at the beach. And that's all I'm saying.
So let's address those.
Yeah.
Here's how it is currently broken down and being sold. The types of memberships that were offered last year and the guest passes are the same. The hours are the same, 1 o'clock to 7 or 8, depending on sunset. Only when in between those hours, which is called the swimming membership, are there lifeguards. And only then can you swim.
Members.
Members. We made an arrangement with the DPW to do all of the maintenance, cleaning of equipment, cleaning the bathrooms, restocking the bathrooms, and things that were a concern to the WeWa Beach Club Executive Committee. Now, they've done most of that. but it's specifically something that they're going to be doing, emptying garbage cans and all that. Now, we're working with the New York Pool Management Company as to how to check people in. Okay, that was a position that was available under the Weewha Beach Club. You had a checker. So we've been looking at a variety of things, including, but not limited to, nothing's been decided yet. You come in, you pay, you get your picture taken at the village office, you have a card. Okay, you have to bring that card. The lifeguards check to see if you have your card. But we're basically looking at an honor system. Okay, we may also put a machine at the front where you have to slide it through your card to get in. Also, the fact that you have people having to register their vehicles to come in now through the main gate at $9 and something cents per car, per family. We're not concerned about people getting in that aren't registered. It's mandatory for seasonal members to register their car. So that's another bit of layer of protection. In terms of people, I guess you're talking about people sneaking in.
I don't think we're worried about people from outside of the park who aren't members.
Right.
Sneaking into the park to go swimming.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and this is only my personal concern. I think that my concern is people who are park residents who feel that they don't need to be a member to go and swim.
Well, shame on us.
Well,
Yeah,
That may be fixed based on Paul's suggestion, or it doesn't matter.
What's Paul's suggestion?
That everybody becomes a member.
Right, no,
Oh,
I agree.
Right, so that may not even be an issue.
No, right now, there has been a change that we should discuss, so it's on the record. For as long as I can remember here, after the Weewha Beach season closed, the gate was locked. The bathrooms were closed. The electricity was turned off. For the first time, since we removed the Weewha Beach Club references from the village code, which we had to do, I decided to make an announcement that it's now open, sunrise to sunset. The response has been fantastic. People are there all the time, loving it. It's been great. Now, am I concerned that those people, there will be some people that don't care to swim and will just want to go in the mornings from sunrise to 1? Hey, good for them. Let them have a picnic. That is a situation, Paul, right now where anyone can go free right now. But if you want to swim, you got to ante up. So that's the current strategy. And we're not having any difficulty raising memberships. I have yet to been able to contact the Hamlet people. I asked Bonnie and others for their email addresses so I can invite them. But she is not willing to give them out. Is that what it was, guys?
I think they had a legal opinion.
They
not
claim
to-
they have a legal opinion. They can't share the emails.
I can't, I have no idea.
But I would love to send them an email tomorrow and say, sign up. So that's where we're at.
What everybody else does.
So, look,
FYI and put a note on.
there's
you
a
go.
whole lot of ideas and thoughts, and I think it's our responsibility as a board to codify them in policy and a resolution at some point. Membership eligibility and what that entails.
I think we should do that now.
Yeah, we did it. It was in
No.
it was.
No,
in the
he's
suggestions.
claiming that,
Nothing.
let's just assume that we didn't do it. Let's do it tonight. What's the big deal?
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So let's start with, let's see, where are we? We did the vehicles.
This is the last item on the agenda.
Yeah, hold on. I think because there's other new stuff too, because Chris wanted other stuff put on.
Well, Weewha Beach Club and Bathing Beach is being used, but the board's never approved that, so we should do
What?
that. Weewha Park and Bathing Beach is
Yeah.
a term being used. The board's never approved it, so we should do that.
Okay. All right. Let's do that. Let me find that.
If the board wants to do that.
I mean, Chris,
But
you
it
know,
should be
it's,
voted on.
it's a lot of micromanagement, but let's do it anyway.
I'm sorry.
No, it's
If
okay.
You agree, I think it's oversight and that the board has responsibility.
That's fine. I had no issue with that. Let's do it. If that's gonna satisfy you. Let's absolutely do it. Let me just find it.
The historical name has been the Weewha Beach Club.
No, it hasn't.
No, it has many other names also.
Right.
The Weewha Beach Club is the name of the entity that ran it. It was never the name of the place.
Okay.
But it used to be called the Weewha Lake and Bathing Beach. And I have a postcard that says it. It also used to be called Pigeon Point.
Right.
So let's vote on it.
None of those names stuck for a reason, so maybe we should
Oh,
just keep it
geez, what do we-
Weewha Park. It's short, it's simple.
Well,
I'm
That's-
good with the Weewha Park.
I'm good with Weewha Park. Paul, are you good with Weewha Park?
Weewha Park.
That's 3. Do we need to discuss any more?
no, because first of all, there's a distinction in the marketing plan between the
right, for the
Weewha Park
park
itself
And then the
and the
seasonal.
swimming beach, the bathing beach. They're two separate, they're done that way because it's two separate things. The Weewha Park can be used from sunset to 1. And then it rolls off the tongue. The swimming component of it can be used from 1 to dusk. So to me, it works well. I mean, is it just
I mean,
a
that
personal issue with you guys or something? Do
No,
you really
I think it's a
care?
Mouthful. And this bathing beach sounds weird to me.
Well,
I know that's
too
not a
bad.
technical term.
I mean-
I just think,
Let's vote. I mean,
Well, what about,
are we worried about are we really gonna get hung up on this? Let's just stop talking.
Can I just say, it's incredible to me that we are using all of this time having this conversation.
Oh,
It really is.
it really is.
I mean,
But let's do it anyway.
Let's have the vote.
Yeah.
But this is not a good use.
No, it's
of
not.
the trustees' time.
Or the public time.
Or the public's time.
Well, Josh, we got to come together and talk about things at some point. We come
We
together
agree.
once a month.
You know what, Chris? Completely agree.
All right, so be it resolved that the Board of Trustees named the parcel of land owned by the village on the Weewha Lake, which contains a park, a bathing beach, and the DPW as the Weewha Park and Bathing Beach. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Oh, any more discussion? All in favor? Aye.
I,
Aye.
Okay, now let's go on to Paul, you're not voting?
no, I mean, I basically said, given all the legal issues, I don't want the word bathing to be any liability there if something happens.
Let me explain something very clearly.
No,
Okay,
that's fine.
let me explain something very clearly. The fact that there is sand there, and it's been the tradition for over 80 years to have a beach, that ties into the Department of Health permit, which requires lifeguards. So the reference to bathing beach is important.
Kingsby Beach.
The vote's been taken. Okay, are you an abstain?
Yeah, I'm gonna abstain.
Okay,
I don't
you
think this is the
abstain.
best use of our time.
No, it's not.
Because the issue was, what are the responsibilities? I have a call at 9 o'clock that I've got to get out.
Mm-hmm.
And because this meeting was gonna go until 9, right? Right.
Okay, here's what let's vote on eligibility. Membership eligibility. Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees approve the following membership and memberships. The following summarizes the committee's recommendations about membership eligibility, which is no change to the 2020 summer season. 1, Village of Tuxedo Park members, village homeowners, property owners, renters, active employees of the Village of Tuxedo Park. Membership fees for summer season, Memorial Day through Labor Day from 1 to 8 with restrictions. Open access the rest of the year, no swimming. Hamlet members, grandfathered to membership of the 2019 pre-COVID vote by the BOT before the last season meeting. Membership fees for summer season are Memorial Day through Labor Day, 1 to 8. No access the rest of the year, 2, the following is the committee's recommended membership eligibility change from the 2020 summer season. New eligibility program for Hamlet TPA ancestor members. Persons that can establish that the TPA employed their direct ancestors are welcome to join for the 2022 summer season, even if they were not members since 2019. May I have a second, please?
Second.
Any discussion?
Just to be clear, if it was in the Weewha Beach Club lease last year as an eligible member, the same rules apply this year with the additions.
2019 vote.
Which is with the same, yeah, so.
Yeah. So if it was in the lease last year in 2021,
Correct. That was 19
So-
vote for the 20 seats.
so, okay, so the all first responders, all those people are still eligible. Okay.
Any other discussion? Okay, so, yays and nays?
Okay.
Yay. Yes.
Yay.
Okay. All right, moving on. Chris also wanted to add some other things. Chris, you mentioned we should vote to authorize the mayor to apply for a building permit and to build a median in front of the booth.
Yeah.
Although construction appears complete, the BOT, to my recollection, never authorized this construction on village property. We should do that retroactively as opposed to never. All right, so I'm happy to do that. The project has been mentioned several times during our meetings. It is not on town, village property, it's on town property.
It's village owned property in the town,
Village-owned property
in the town.
jurisdiction of the town. It's outside of the village borders, but it is owned by the village of Tuxedo Park.
Which is why you got a town of Tuxedo building permit.
Correct.
Because you own it.
And not a village permit.
No, but that's why you didn't need a memorandum of understanding or
Yeah.
easement from the town to use a town road.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Sorry.
Just trying to keep us legal. That's all.
We
Come on.
are going to keep it legal.
Right.
Now that I went through this a couple of times, when I first started coming out, asking for this.
The implication there is we're trying to keep it legal. We're all trying to keep it legal.
I'm not saying I'm not. I'm just, that's why we want to do this retroactively
Thank
so
you.
that we're all on
Thank you,
board.
Jay.
I'm sorry, that property is in the town.
Yeah.
And we
Yes,
got a permit and from the town that it's in the jurisdiction of.
yes, but it's on village property.
Sorry, yes.
Tax roll,
But on property in the town.
It's
Yes.
town, it's,
Yeah.
yeah.
but the deed is on the, is the village, right? Yeah, the parcel.
Telling me, even though my maps really don't. show
Well, you know, I will say that when
Why do we-
we're discussing this over the past few months about having to get something from the town, this knowledge that you're sharing with us now would have been appreciated at that point.
No, but I still don't understand why we would need a permit from the village to build something in the town.
You don't.
We don't.
That's why you came,
This
but
is- this is a
but when
request that we
John
get a
came to
permit
us
from the
to
town.
ask for permission as the representative, we looked into it and said, all you need is a building permit from us, which we granted.
Yeah.
But originally, they were asking for permission to work on a town road.
Because my maps don't show us owning that property.
Understood.
John, Orange County GIS makes it really clear.
Well, it's great to point that out now. We could have used that information before. You know, it's great to play Monday morning quarterback. There's also a way to work together as a team.
Nobody asked me.
That's.
Nobody asked you, okay.
Sorry.
But you're telling us now.
I'm trying.
All right, let's move on.
It's basically filling out a form.
Yeah.
Retroactive.
We're done. Yeah, all we're doing is voting so that the mayor has the authority to do it.
I also want to mention that there are 2 other medians being used as gardens that I never asked permission for and no one ever brought up. And that's the ones that are both in the immediate front and back of the booth.
That's on village property.
Right,
I mean, village.
right. But I never went to the Board of Trustees and asked for permission.
that I-
And you're saying I have to go and ask for permission now for the one I did in the town. Fine, we're going to do that. We're going to go and we're going to do a resolution. Okay. Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees ratify the approval of 3 garden medians, 2 located on village property in front of and behind the new booth, and 1 located on town property, which requires a building permit from the town. May I have a second?
Second.
Seconded.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
I had a little comment, though. I think, didn't you say was located in town, the town property, but it's village property in town? The one.
It's all done. Anything else?
Let me see, because Chris was asking for some other things. He did the membership. Okay, so it looks like we can move into executive session. Oh, yeah, I'm so sorry. Audit of claims and budget transfers.
That's it. Do you want me just to read it?
Did you have resolutions?
Yes.
Yes, and then I'll accept them and I'll call the vote.
Okay, thank you. Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees authorize the mayor to sign the audit of claims comprised of the general fund, $226,791.33, water fund, $19,793.33, and professional fees, $3,154.50.
Accepted. May I have a second?
Seconded.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, I'm going to take this opportunity to make a comment on Chris's statement into the record at the last meeting where he claimed that we were $400,000 over budget and not even 6 months into it, and gave us a list of 11 line items. That was a false statement. And we've been working with the accountants and with Elizabeth and with my budget director and with John. It is not a true statement. We are not over budget by $400,000. And I wanted to make that clear for the record.
And I'm obviously gonna have a chance to respond.
Please.
So I never said we were $400,000 over budget. I said there were 11 line items on the budget that were expenses exceeded the budget. I stand by that statement. I've had discussions with Elizabeth. I've had discussions with attorneys at NICOM. And I understand that some of those lines were not appropriated lines and others were. So there were still line items that this board approved appropriations for that have exceeded budget items. My only point I'm bringing that up was because the mayor kept saying we had to pay for the license plate reader because it wasn't budgeted for, and there were plenty of things not budgeted for that we're spending money for. And I asked what made those line items different. Further, the fact that nobody on the board even questioned it when I said it, and we still had a continuation of a discussion on money, just goes to show that we are not where we should be as far as awareness of the budget.
Well, actually, I was so shocked by the fact that you would say that in a public meeting rather than contact us privately beforehand. You made a big statement like that as if, and it put it on record that we're incompetent, basically. And the reason I didn't say anything, I was in shock. You're a team player. You claim to be a team player. You made that overtly at a meeting intentionally to embarrass me and others. And you were doing it because you were mad about the We Want Beach Club vote. If you're a team player, you bring those items to our attention before a meeting. Let us look at them. Give us a chance to do what we did over the last few weeks so we wouldn't have this kind of back and forth.
I will continue to participate the way I feel like I need to participate based on the environment that I find myself in. I stand by my statement then. I stand by my statement now. You can insinuate what I was feeling and why I said whatever I said, but I guess I'm the only one who knows.
But Chris, it's pretty simple, which is we need to have public discussion for sure. Okay, but we are allowed to converse, as you know, keeping in mind the sunshine laws beforehand. And it would make potentially these meetings more constructive. And I think that would be helpful to progressing the village's business. For example, we've wasted a bunch of time tonight, candidly, talking about stuff that is not that important or could have been easily resolved prior to the meeting. That's the point.
Josh, I agree. I sent everybody my thoughts this morning. I said, if anybody wants to discuss further, give me a call. Nobody called, nobody replied.
Chris, with all due respect, you sent something, first of all, at the last meeting, you did not do that. This meeting, you did it You did it, what, 6 hours in advance of the meeting? 8 hours in advance?
13, I did
I
it
have a
this
full,
morning.
I have a full-time job, as do
Same.
many other people on this call.
Josh, I do things in priority too, just like you do. And this has been a sprint all week long and I did it as early as I could.
I will say that I've sent you over 15 emails since the last meeting, which asked important information for your opinion, including on rates for the membership of the Weewha Beach Club. You didn't respond to a single one. And that's what you do. You don't talk to me during the month. You prefer to do it here at meetings.
Okay.
And you don't want to be a team player. Just as Josh said, we've wasted hours.
We're wasting hours right now.
We are.
I suggest we move to adjournment if we have no other items.
We have executive session
And budget transfers.
and budget transfers.
Okay.
Would you like me to read the budget transfers?
And by the way, one last statement, you stand by your statement. I stand by the village recording of last month's meeting and what was written in TPFYI. And I quoted you, and that is what you said.
I didn't say we're over budget $400,000. I said there were 11 line items where budget expenses exceeded budget. 11 line items is not over
Okay,
budget.
so let's vote on,
Okay.
let's vote on them. Or did we?
I'm going to read them now.
Okay.
That's okay? Okay. So we're going to transfer from buildings other, which is 1620.22, $2,356.15 to the line police, 2-car payments, 3120.2. And we'll budget transfer from cleaning supplies. This is police, 3121.12, $500 to vehicle parts and maintenance, which is 3121.01. Uniform cleaning, 3121.14, $565.86. 3121.1321. I don't know if it helps, but I did.
I'll catch up later.
Let's see, and then transfer 10, and then for the New York State retirement, transfer $10,000 from contingency, which is 1990.4, and $15,000 from DPW building repair, which is 1620.21, and $2,752 from buildings other, which is 1620.22, for a total of $27,752 to New York State retirement, which is 9010.8. And then the last in the general fund from street maintenance contractual 5110.4 will transfer $539.37 to 9055.8, which I forgot to write down the name of it. If you want, I can look it up right now. I think that's disability. 9055.8, and that was disability. And then in the water fund, there's one transfer to make from contingency, 1990.4, $1,914.29 to debt service interest. on the line of 1730.7. And then lastly, just to modify 2 resolutions that were done previously that were actually incorrectly done. That was my fault. The resolution was 0818-07. We're going to transfer $1,500 from 1640.2 central garage equipment. The advisory board. And final one, we're going to modify resolution 0921.10. This is to fund all the police equipment. We are going to increase budget line 3,000 unappropriated surplus by $52,000 and increase the budget line 3120.22 police equipment by $52,000.
Accepted. May I have a second?
Second.
Okay, so just to clarify for everyone, these changes were the result of our meeting with the village accountant, the budget director, and others to clarify and take a deeper dive into the comment that was made at the last meeting, which I have here quoted from the recording of the meeting and on TPFYI. Trustee Casker commented that there were currently 11 budget lines that exceeded their appropriations, totaling roughly $400,000. That's $400,000 that wasn't budgeted for, and that was spent, and we are only 6 months into the fiscal year, he stated.
Not the same as $400,000 over budget.
So are we done, or is there any other business before us before we go into executive session? Call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
So we'll go into executive session at 9:09 for purpose.
I will read that. Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees temporarily exit the public meeting and enter executive session to discuss employee matters of three specific persons, the PBA collective bargaining agreement, legal matters, and water accounts collection. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, John. If you could put everybody into a, put us into a, yeah, into a breakout room. And Chief, would you like to stay for the first part? Okay.
You'll record when you're done with the executive session. The
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Take care, Jay. Elizabeth, that's off, right?
Yes.
Okay.